Next up, the image element, which, surprise, surprise, allows us to embed images in an HTML document. So the image element is actually the first instance of an element that we've seen so far that does not have an opening and closing tag. There's just one tag, image, img, and there is no content in between. There's no closing tag. It's just image. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. All the elements we've seen so far are filled with text or other content. We put stuff inside of a paragraph. We put stuff inside of a B tag or an anchor tag. We have the text. But with an image, all that we do is we provide a URL, a location for the image we want. We want the browser to render for us, but we don't have text or anything inside that image. So all we do is we write img like this. No closing tag. You'll notice that VS Code didn't close it for me like it would with any other element I create that has a closing tag. It's just img on its own. And then we have to add an attribute. And this attribute is called source, src. And it follows the same pattern as href and almost every other attribute. Something equals something in quotes. Source equals, and then in quotes, we need to add in the location of an image. So we have a few options. I actually have an image that I have added of one of my chickens named Stevie Chicks, and I've put this image in the same folder as my chickens.html. So if you want, you can download this code and use this exact image, or you can use any image you have on your computer. Just pay attention to the title of the image, the extension, if it's a JPEG or a PNG or something else, and the location. And it's easiest if you put it in the same folder, but you don't have to. I'll show you some other options. So for me, all I need to do is reference the exact name, steviechicks.jpg, just like that. Let's refresh the page. Hey, and there's my hilarious Stevie. Looks like a Muppet there. Stevie is also a rooster, it turns out. Unfortunately, we're going to keep him, but not the hen I was hoping for. Anyway, so I've got this image showing up. If you're worried about the size of the image, we can change that. Technically, you can do it through HTML. I can do things like width equals 200 pixels. However, this is bad practice, and it's way better to do it using CSS. But this does work. It's an attribute you can pass in, but I'm not going to do that. So that is the basic idea of adding an image. Let's add a second image, but this time, let's use an image that is hosted on Wikipedia. It's online somewhere. It's not an image I have locally on my computer. It's not one I took. Oh, look at this adorable chick. Sure. So we'll copy this URL of any one of these images. Let's take this one, copy image address, and then here, maybe down at the bottom for this example, maybe down here, we want our image source equals, wow, long URL coming from Wikipedia. Let's refresh the page, scroll down, and there is that image. Thank you to Wikipedia. So just like with an anchor tag, where we could link to a local page or something on our machine versus linking to Google, which is an external website, same idea here. A local image I have on my computer and an image that I don't have on my computer, it's on the web. So I also, just to show you this, I could move that folder or this file around. Let's say I had a folder called pictures. I could put steviechicks.jpg in there, but now my link is going to be broken, or my image tag rather is broken, and you can see I get this icon here. Is there a way to get this to stop? There we go. Okay. So I've got this logo, this icon telling me my image didn't load. You may have seen that before. That's because it didn't find it. There's no steviechicks.jpg in this folder anymore. It's now in pictures. So I can reference pictures/steviechicks.jpg and refresh. Great. The other thing I'll show you is that in the event your image does not load, whether it can't be found or somehow your internet's messed up, or if you're relying on an image from Wikipedia, it might be gone. The URL might have changed. We can provide a special attribute called alt, A-L-T. We can read about alt right here. It holds a text description of the image, which isn't mandatory, but it's very useful for accessibility. This is a topic we have yet to really cover at all. Accessibility refers to making our websites accessible to all users, and often that means making our websites accessible to people using screen readers. So images are very horrible for your typical screen reader. They don't make sense at all, right? There's nothing to be read out. But if we add an alt attribute, we can specify what this is an image of. So I can do something like alt equals my pet chicken Stevie chicks. Or we could do image of my pet chicken or whatever. There's actually some rules around when you should use the alt attribute and not. It's something we'll cover when we talk about accessibility. But anyway, we won't see anything here. But if that image does not load, so if I did an invalid image name and I refresh, we now see that. My pet chicken Stevie chicks. But more importantly, if someone was using a screen reader, the screen reader would know to look for the alt attribute and read this part out loud. Okay, so I'm probably, I guess I'll leave it in the pictures folder just to show you that we can. You can structure this however you'd like. I probably wouldn't do this with just one image, but if I had multiple, I'd put them in here. And that's pretty much it for the image element. So IMG, a couple of important things to remember, no closing tag, no content in between. It's just IMG. And then the most important part, the source attribute, SRC. And like every attribute we've seen, it's some attribute name equals and then some value in quotes. And in this case, it is the location of an image on our machine or a URL to find an image hosted somewhere else. And there we go. Refresh. There we go. 2 images, both very adorable.